Good afternoon. This is Eric Severson. Today is May 11th, 2020. Hope everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. And if I didn't say it before, happy Mother's Day, skol, salud. And again, a salute to all the healthcare workers, all my fellow educators out there. Okay, much love and solidarity to you all. So what I want to talk to you about today is that hearing all these conversations about schools reopening in September and people trying to come up with some sort of a plan and just thinking through what are our concerns as the educators, what concerns are the students and parents likely to have, and how do we respond, how do we move forward given that all these concerns exist. So obviously New York and New Jersey are still have the highest infection rates in the country, and it's already May, so after June, July, August, seems like distance learning is going to continue throughout the summer, and I can't imagine that by Labor Day things are going to get to the point that reopening is going to be safe to just go back to business as usual. Nobody thinks that, but I'm looking at all the proposals that I'm hearing. I'm hearing people talk about things like just, reducing the class size, having classes where kids can stay 6 feet apart inside the classroom, having classes of only 12 kids, or doing things on a double shift, like half the school comes in the morning, the other half comes in for a later shift. Like, for example, kids come in from 7 to 12 and then there's a break, and then another shift of kids comes in from 1 to 6 in the afternoon. Those are just hypothetical numbers, but just something along those lines. Now, here's the thing. The school where I work, I think the numbers have gone up a little bit from what I just looked up on the web. We had a little over 1,200 students as of a couple years ago. I think it's even higher now. So even if you're making these attempts to reduce the class size, to have policies in place to say students wear masks or students have to stay separate, there's a lot of ways in which this is going to be extremely difficult to do, both safety-wise and logistically. My school is a scanning school. Every kid goes through the metal detector on their way in. So if you're doing it in a way that's socially distanced with students 6 feet apart, that's going to take forever. It's going to take hours to scan that many students. And of course, how do you keep the safety agents far enough apart from each other and from the student to do that in a way that's safe? So it's either you take the risk and say, oh, all these kids are going through scanning the way they normally would, or you do it in a way that's everybody's 6 feet apart and it takes forever. I'm sure some of you have gone to the supermarket recently where it takes twice as long to go through the checkout, and that's only when there's 10 people ahead of you. Imagine hundreds of kids. Imagine half the school, 600 kids all coming through within the same block of an hour or two in the morning. Okay? And in New York City high schools, secondary school, we have 34 kids in a class. Even if you reduce the numbers, even if you put things on a double shift where you have half as many kids, it's really difficult to arrange the desks to think of a way that you would have 17 kids all sharing a room. And with we're talking about all these cuts to the budget and possibly hiring freeze, all these things that I'm hearing. How are you going to have enough staff to teach reduced size classes while you're maintaining social distancing inside of a classroom? And in my particular school, the self-contained classes for students with IEPs, they're really tiny rooms, and often, students that have paraprofessionals that, enter the classes with them. You have 2 or 3 adults along with the class. Even if you reduce the size of those classes, just the physical space is so tiny, just navigating through the doorways. I'm not really sure how you're going to maintain any of this while doing that. And my particular school, 80% of our students are girls. At some points in the day, we only have 2 bathrooms open. So just thinking about, hundreds of students who need to go to the same bathroom. Walking through the halls, you see sometimes, there's a line to get in, and there's several people crowded around just, washing their hands, fixing their hair, whatever they're doing. And it's, you just observe that as you walk by, and it's like, just trying to picture, like, how are people going to safely navigate in and out of the stalls, the sinks, the doorways. It's like there's really no way to maintain the distancing. And I'm thinking, like, how are you going to enforce if you say, okay, every kid has to wear a mask over their face? That's going to be difficult to maintain and enforce. Like, it's difficult enough even having the protocols and the rules that we currently have in place about just, everybody move, keep on moving and go to class. And it's, there's a whole host of issues that are going to come along with this. And not only that, but just the level of sanitation that it takes is difficult to even just, keep the floors clean, the rooms clean, just even just keeping the bathrooms stocked enough with soap. That's, just very basic things like that are already difficult to maintain in the schools. So, are we going to be able to maintain enough custodial staff to keep everything perfectly spick and span and sanitary to the point that it's not going to be any, surfaces that are going to be putting people at risk? So this is all very much concerning, and I think, there's varying shades of opinion. There's people who are saying, well, we'll have to reopen, but with the reduced class sizes, we'll have to reopen, but with double shifts. Or, I'm hearing people say, like, there's no way we can safely reopen in September. We're just going to have to continue distance learning until the numbers are low enough and the, testing and healthcare protocols are in place enough that we can just, ensure that the risk of transmission is low. And I'm deeply concerned about that. And I'm also deeply concerned that, the people who run the DOE are the same people who didn't close the schools until the last minute when the governor finally forced the mayor's hand and, had staff come into schools that were probably, had people who were infected and had us do 3 days of training on, to like come in physically to the school buildings and all sit in a room together and, to watch a online video that we could have done from home. I'm, very much feel like that our trust and confidence in the people that are making policy for the DOE has been violated already, and that's deeply concerning. And that, as far as how we move forward from that, I feel like we really need to raise our voices and let the story be told that there are myriad concerns, and we're not, not at all confident that the people in charge of making these decisions are going to address all that properly. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and yeah, hope that this stirs a good discussion about what people think ought to happen in September and what the concerns are in your particular building. So again, happy Monday. Hope it's a healthy and safe and peaceful one for you. Good afternoon, and solidarity with all of you.